The space station called Nexus Prime floated in the dark between stars. It was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Lights blinked along its metal walls like stars. Ships from 100 different worlds came and went every day. But today was special. Today was the day of the Apex tournament. Kongmira stepped off her small transport ship. She wore simple gray clothes and carried only a small bag. Other travelers pushed past her, talking in languages she did not know. Some had scales. Some had too many eyes. Some walked on 4 legs instead of 2. But they all moved away from her quickly. Humans were not welcome here. The main hall of the station was filled with noise. Thousands of aliens filled the space. They came to watch the tournament. They came to see the strongest fighters in the galaxy battle each other. They came to see blood. Mira walked through the crowd. She kept her head up and her steps steady. Aliens stared at her. Some laughed. Some made sounds that might have been words. She heard the same word over and over in different languages. It meant prey. A tall blue alien with 4 arms blocked. Her path lost. Little human, it said in broken English. Pet shop is on level 7. Myra looked up at the alien. She did not smile. She did not frown. I am where I need to be, she said. The alien laughed. Its friends laughed too. They stepped aside, still making their clicking sounds of amusement. Mira found the tournament registration desk. A fat alien with green skin sat behind it. Its eyes were like a frog's eyes. It stuck out from its head and moved in different directions. When it saw Mira, both eyes turned to look at her. You are in. Wrong place, human, the alien said. Its voice was wet and thick. This is not tourist information. I want to register for the tournament, Mira said. The alien's eyes grew bigger. It made a sound like water going down a drain. Other aliens nearby heard this sound. They turned to look. Soon a crowd had formed around the registration desk. You want to what? The alien asked. I want to fight in the Apex tournament, Mira said clearly. I want to face all 4 champions. The crowd exploded with noise. Some aliens laughed so hard they fell over. Others made angry sounds. Registration alien's eyes spun around in circles. Human, it said. Do you know what the Apex tournament is? Yes, Mira said. 4 fights. 4 different Apex predator species. If I win all 4 fights, my people get trading rights and protection. Agreements. If I lose, humans become a protected species. The alien's mouth opened wide. Mira could see rows of sharp teeth. If you lose human, you die. The champions do not play games. They kill. I understand, Mira said. More aliens gathered around them. Someone called out in a language Mira did not know. Others answered. Soon the whole hall was buzzing with talk. New alien pushed through the crowd. This one was different. It wore robes and had golden bands around its arms. Its head was long and pointed like a horse's head, but its eyes were smart and cold. I am Tournament Master Kelvin, it said. Its voice was clear and strong. You wish to challenge the Apex Predators? Yes, Mira said. Do you know what you ask? Kelvin's voice was serious now. The Vorthok champion has killed 37 beings in the arena. The Grimthul champion has never been wounded. The Necros champion kills so fast that some fights last only seconds. The Bloodmaw champion once tore a war machine apart with his bare hands. Mira nodded. I know. And you think you can defeat all 4? One after another? With no rest between fights? Yes. The tournament master studied her face. Why? Because I am human, Myra said simply. The crowd laughed again, but this time the sound was different. It was not just amusement. There was something else in it. Something like nervousness. Kelvin raised one hand. The crowd became quiet. The rules are simple, he said. For fights. For champions. You fight them one by one. If you win all 4, your species gets what it wants. If you lose any fight, you die. And your species will be marked as prey for all time. I accept, Mira said. The tournament master's eyes narrowed. Are you sure? Once you sign, there is no going back. The arena does not forgive. The champions do not show mercy. Mira reached for the registration pad, I am sure. As she signed her name, the crowd pressed closer. Some aliens made bets.
Ow.
Others talked in worried voices. A few just watched her with new interest. The tournament master took the pad. He read her name out loud. Kung Mira of Earth, age 28. No augmentations, no mechanical parts, no genetic improvements. He looked at her again. You are just human, Mira agreed. The first fight is tomorrow at noon, Kelvin said. You will face Krex of the Vorthok. He has never lost a fight. He has never been hurt in a fight. Kills most opponents in less than 5 minutes. I will be ready, Mira said, as she walked away from the registration desk. The crowd parted before her. But now they were not laughing. They were watching. They were thinking. Some looked scared in a small room on the other side of the galaxy. Li Doyan watched the registration through a hidden camera.
Ow.
His hands shook as he activated his communication device. Control, this is Handler 7, he said. The package is delivered. Mira has registered for the tournament. Copy that, Handler 7, came the reply. Is she ready? Dojane looked at the screen. He could see Mira walking through the crowd. She looked small next to the huge aliens. She looked weak. But he knew better. She is ready, he said. God help us all, she is ready. Back on Nexus Prime, Mira found a quiet corner and sat down. She closed her eyes and began to breathe slowly. In her mind, she went over everything she had learned, every weakness, every strength, every way to kill the things that thought they were stronger than her. Around her, the aliens of 100 worlds talked about tomorrow's fight. They made their bets. They planned their parties. They expected to see a human die quickly and badly. They had no idea what was coming. The tournament would begin in 18 hours. For apex predators waited in their cages below the arena. They had killed hundreds of beings between them. They were the strongest, fastest, most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. Tomorrow, they would meet something they had never faced before. Something that looked weak and small and harmless. Tomorrow, they would learn why humans had no natural predators, because humans were the predators that other predators feared to hunt. The arena was massive. It stretched out like a giant bowl carved from black metal. 50,000 aliens filled the seats that rose up around the fighting pit. Their voices created a sound like thunder that never stopped. Mira stood at the arena. Entrance. She wore simple fighting clothes now, black pants and a black shirt. No armor, no weapons, just her hands and her mind. Last chance to quit. Human, said Tournament Master Kelvin. He stood beside her, his long horse-like face serious. Krex has killed 37 beings. Some were twice your size. And teeth. Some had armor thicker than your arm. I know, Mira said. Her voice was calm. He will try to kill you quickly. It is his way. Fast and brutal. Mira nodded. She had studied videos of Krex's fights. She knew exactly how he moved. He thought. How he killed? The arena floor began to change. Metal plates moved and shifted. Rock formations rose from the ground. Heat vents opened, sending waves of hot air upward. The arena was becoming a place that looked like the Vorthok homeworld, hot, rocky, and dangerous. The environment favors him, Kelvin said. The heat makes him faster. The rocks give him places to climb and jump from. Good, Myra said. Kelvin looked at her strangely. Good heat makes him faster, but it also makes him tired faster. The rocks give him advantages, but they give me advantages too, a loud horn. Sounded. The crowd fell silent. 50,000 aliens waited to see a human die. Enter the arena, Kelvin announced through the speakers. Krex of the Vorthok, apex predator, undefeated champion. A gate opened on the far side of the arena. Something huge stepped out. Krex stood 8 feet tall. His scales were dark green and looked like armor. His arms were thick as tree trunks. His claws were 6 inches long and razor sharp. His tail was thick and powerful, covered in spikes. His eyes were yellow and cold. He looked across the arena at Mira. His mouth opened, showing teeth like daggers. He made a sound like rocks grinding together. The crowd cheered. "Enter the arena," Kelvin announced again. Kang Mira of Earth. Human. No previous arena experience. Mira walked through her gate. She looked very small next to the huge arena. She looked like a child next to the massive Vorthok. The crowd began to laugh. Some aliens made sounds that meant this will be over fast. Others started counting down numbers, betting on how many seconds she would survive. Mira walked to the center of the arena. She stopped and looked up at Krex. He was twice her height and probably 10 times her weight. His claws could cut through steel. His tail could break bones. "Begin," Kelvin announced. Krex roared. The sound shook the arena. Then he charged. He ran straight at Mira like a living tank. His claws reached out to grab her. His mouth opened wide to bite her head off. The crowd cheered for blood. Mira did not run. She did not try to hide. She stepped to the side at the last second. Krex's claws missed her by inches. His momentum carried him past her, crashed into a rock formation behind where she had been standing. The crowd made sounds of surprise. This was not what they expected. Krex turned around quickly. He snarled at Mira. He was angry now. He had missed his first strike. This had never happened before. He attacked again. This time he was more careful. He moved toward her slowly, his claws ready to strike from any angle. Mira began to move. She did not run in a straight line. She moved in patterns. She used the rocks for cover. She made Krex follow her around the arena. The crowd watched in confusion. Why was the human running? Why was she not fighting back? But Mira was not just running, she was learning. Every time Krex attacked, she learned something new. How fast he could turn. How long his reach was. How he moved his tail. How he breathed. After 5 minutes, Krex was breathing harder. The heat was making him sweat. He was getting tired from chasing her. After 10 minutes, his attacks were getting slower. His claws were not as quick. His movements were not as smooth. The crowd was getting restless. They wanted to see blood. They wanted to see the human die. But she was still alive. Still moving. Still learning. Krex stopped chasing her. He stood in the middle of the arena and roared at her. "Fight me, coward," he shouted in his grinding voice. "Stop running and fight." Mira stopped moving. She stood on top of a tall rock and looked down at him. "You want me to fight?" "Yes," Krex roared. "Fight like a warrior." "'Kay," Mira said. "But remember, you asked for this." She jumped down from the rock. This time she did not run away. She ran toward him. Krex was surprised. He had expected her to keep running. He swung his claws at her as she came close. Mira ducked under his claws. She rolled between his legs. She came up behind him and hit him hard in the back of his knee. Krex stumbled. No one had ever hit him there before. His knee hurt in a way he did not understand. Mira did not stop. She hit him again in the same place. Then she hit him in the other knee. Then she hit him in the back of his ankles. Krex tried to turn around to face her, but his legs were not working right. Every time he tried to put weight on them, pain shot through his body. The crowd was silent now. They watched in amazement as the small human began to take apart the mighty Vorthok. Mira knew exactly what she was doing. She had studied Vorthok anatomy for months. She knew their weak points. She knew that their heavy bodies put too much pressure on their knee joints. She knew that if you hit them in the right places, their own weight would work against them. Krex fell to one knee. He was still dangerous. His claws were still sharp. His teeth were still deadly. But he could not move like before. "How?" he gasped. "How do you know where to hit me?" "I studied," Mira said. "I learned about your people. I learned about your bodies. I learned about your weaknesses." She moved around him in a circle, tried to follow her with his eyes, but she was too fast now. He was too tired, too hurt. "You are strong," Mira said. "You are fast. You're dangerous. But you have one big weakness." "What weakness?" Krex demanded. "You think strength is everything. You think if you are stronger than your enemy, you will win. But strength without wisdom is just muscle, and muscle gets tired." Mira moved in close. Krex swung his claws at her one last time. She caught his wrist and twisted. There was a crack. His claws fell to the ground. Then she hit him in the throat, right where his neck scales were thinnest, right where Yoon Summon's research had said. The Vorthok were most vulnerable. Krex made a choking sound. His eyes went wide. He fell forward and did not get up. The arena was completely silent. Mira stood over the fallen Vorthok champion. She was breathing hard, but she was not hurt. She looked up at the crowd of 50,000 aliens. One down, she said clearly. 3 to go. The silence stretched on for long seconds. Then slowly a few aliens began to clap. Others made sounds of approval. Soon the entire arena was filled with noise again. But this time, it was different. This time, it was not laughter. It was not mockery. It was respect. And maybe just a little bit. It was fear. Tournament Master Kelvin looked down at the arena floor. The mighty Krex lay still. A small human stood over him, waiting for her next opponent. Impossible, he whispered, but it had happened. The human had won. Now, there were only 3 apex predators left. The arena floor changed again. The hot rocks sank back into the ground. Metal walls rose up from the floor. They twisted and turned, creating passages and tunnels. Some paths led up, some led down, some led nowhere at all. In minutes, the arena had become a giant maze. Dark shadows filled the corners. Strange sounds echoed through the passages. This was the hunting ground of the Grim Thul. Mira stood at the entrance to the maze. She had 30 minutes to rest between fights. She drank water and ate a small energy bar. Her muscles were sore from the first fight, but she was not badly hurt. The second champion is very different from the first, Tournament Master Kelvin told her. Krex fought with strength and anger. Zith fights with patience and cunning. No, Mira said. She had studied the Grimthal just as carefully as the Vorthok. He will not charge at you like Krex did.
Yes.
He will hide. He will wait. He will strike when you least expect it. Mira nodded. Species are ambush predators. They hunt by staying hidden until their prey comes close. Yes. His mandibles produce acid that can eat through metal. His legs are sharp enough to climb any surface. His body can change color to match his surroundings. But he has weaknesses too, Mira said. Kelvin looked at her with interest. What weaknesses? Hunters have the same weakness. They think like hunters. They expect their prey to act like prey. The crowd in the arena was even larger now. Word had spread through the station that a human had defeated Krex. Aliens, who had never watched the tournament before, pushed into the viewing areas. They wanted to see if the human could do it again. In the maze below, movement stirred in the shadows. All something 6 feet long crawled along the ceiling. Its body was like a giant insect, but its head was more like a snake. Its mandibles dripped with acid that hissed when it hit the metal floor. Zith had been hunting for 40 years. He had killed hundreds of beings. He had never failed to catch his prey. Never. Enter the arena, Kelvin announced. Yapta, of the Grimthul. The silent death, the perfect hunter. The crowd looked down at the maze, but they could not see Zith. He was already hidden somewhere in the passages, waiting. Enter the arena, Kelvin announced again. Kong Mira of Earth, victor of the first. Battle. Mira walked into the maze. The walls rose up around her, blocking her view of the crowd. She was alone now in the twisting passages with one of the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. She moved slowly, carefully. Her footsteps made no sound. She breathed quietly. She listened for any sound that might tell her where Zith was. Hiding the maze was full of traps. Some passages had floors that would collapse if you stepped on them. Some had walls that would close together and crush you. Some had jets of poison gas that would kill you in seconds. But Mira had expected this. She had studied the maze designs used in previous tournaments. She knew how to spot the traps. She knew how to avoid them. Begin, Kelvin announced. Silence fell over the arena. The crowd held their breath. Somewhere in the maze the hunt had begun. Mira moved deeper into the passages. She checked each corner carefully before she turned. She looked up at the ceiling and down at the floor. She knew Zith could be anywhere. 5 minutes passed. Nothing happened. 10 minutes passed. Still nothing. The crowd began to whisper. Where was Zith? Why had he not attacked yet? 15 minutes passed. Mira had explored half the maze. She had not seen any sign of the Grimfell, but she knew he was there. She could feel eyes watching her. She could sense something following her through the passages. The crowd was getting restless. They wanted action, wanted to see the fight. But this was not that kind of fight. This was a hunt. And in a hunt, patience was everything. 20 minutes passed. Mira reached the center of the maze. There was a circular room with passages. Leading off in 6 directions, she stopped in the middle of the room and looked around. Above her, something moved in the shadows of the ceiling. Zith hung upside down, his claws dug into the metal. His body had changed color to match the dark walls. He was almost invisible. He had been following her for the last 10 minutes, watching her, learning her patterns, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Now was that moment. Zith dropped from the ceiling silently. His mandibles opened wide, acid dripping from them. He aimed for the back of Mira's neck. One bite, and she would be dead. But Mira was not there. She had rolled forward at the last second. Zith's mandibles bit empty air. Its acid splashed harmlessly. On the floor, the crowd gasped. How had she known he was there? Zith landed on the floor and turned quickly. His eyes were angry. No prey had ever avoided his first strike. You knew I was there, he said. His voice was like a whisper mixed with a hiss. Yes, Mira said. She stood at the edge of the circular room, watching him carefully. How I made no sound, I cast no shadow. My scent was masked. You were perfect, Mira agreed. Your camouflage was perfect. Your movement was perfect. Your timing was perfect. Then how? Because I was not acting like prey, Mira said. I was acting like a hunter. Zith's head tilted to one side. You were hunting me? From the moment I entered the maze, you think you were following me? I was leading you. This was true. Mira had not been exploring the maze randomly. She had been moving in a pattern designed to bring Zith to this exact spot. The circular room had only one entrance from above. If she could get him to follow her here, she would know exactly where he would attack from. Impossible, Zith hissed. Humans are prey. You do not hunt. We're the greatest hunters in the galaxy, Mira said. We hunted mammoths with sticks and stones. We hunted whales with tiny boats. We hunted everything that moved on our world until there was nothing left to hunt.
Oh.
You are small and weak, Zeth said. But his voice was not as confident as before. We are persistent, Mira said. Do not give up. Do not stop. We follow our prey until it falls from exhaustion. Zith attacked again. This time he did not try to be silent. He ran straight at her, his mandibles wide open. Mira threw something at him. It was a small piece of metal she had picked up from the floor. It hit his mandibles and made him snap them shut reflexively. When he opened them again, his own acid had burned his mouth. He screamed in pain and anger. Mira did not wait. She grabbed a longer piece of metal from the floor and used it. Like a spear, she drove it into the joint where Zith's head met his body. It was the one place where his armor was thin. Zith collapsed. His legs twitched once, then went still. The crowd was silent again. 2 apex predators lay dead. The small human stood over them both. Mira looked up at the cameras. She knew people were watching all over the galaxy. She knew they were starting to understand what humans really were. 2 down, she said clearly. 2 to go. As she walked out of the maze, the crowd finally found their voices. They cheered and screamed and made sounds of amazement. But under all the noise, there was something else. Fear. Real fear. Because if a human could hunt the hunters, what did that make humans? The answer was becoming clear. It made them the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Tournament Master Kelvin met her at the exit. His face was pale. How did you know where he would attack from? I studied his species, Mira said. I learned how they think, how they hunt. I used that knowledge against him, the 3rd champion. I have studied him too. Kelvin looked at her with new respect and new fear. "What are you people?" Mira smiled for the first time since arriving at the station. "We are what nightmares are made of. We just look harmless." Two more champions waited below. They had watched their fellow predators die. They knew they were not facing normal prey. They were facing something much worse. They were facing a human. The arena went dark. All the lights turned off at once. The maze walls sank back into the floor, leaving a flat, empty space. But it was not really empty. In the darkness, something moved. Mira stood in the center of the arena, but she could not see. Her own hands in front of her face. The darkness was complete and total. But she was not afraid. She had trained for this. "The third champion is the most dangerous yet, tournament master." Kelvin's voice came from speakers around the arena. "The Vex of the Necros, the Shadow Walker, the Invisible Death." The crowd above could not see anything either. Special cameras tried to show them what was happening, but they showed only darkness. The aliens whispered nervously to each other. "Necros can bend light around their bodies," Kelvin continued. "They become invisible. They can move without making any sound. They can strike without warning. In 40 years of fighting, Vex has never been seen during a battle." Mira closed her eyes. In the darkness, seeing was useless anyway. She had to use her other senses now. She listened. She felt the air around her. She smelled for any scent that did not belong. Somewhere in the darkness, Vex moved. He was 8 feet tall, but thin like a stick. His arms and legs were too long for his body. His skin was pale as moonlight. His eyes were solid black. But none of that mattered now, because no one could see him anyway. Vex had killed 300 beings in his lifetime. He was the perfect assassin. Silent, invisible, deadly. He could cut a throat so quietly that other people in the same room would not know anything had happened. He moved around Mira in a circle. Dud. His feet made no sound. On the arena floor, his breathing made no noise. He was like a ghost, but Myra heard him anyway, not with her ears. With something deeper. Humans had hunted in darkness for thousands of years. They had learned to sense danger even when they could not see it. "Entered the arena," Kelvin announced unnecessarily. "Vex of the Necros." Vex was already there. He had been there since the lights went out. He moved closer to Myra, his long fingers reaching out like knives. "Enter the arena," Kelvin said again. "Kong Mira of Earth, victor of 2 battles." Mira was already there too. She stood perfectly still, listening to the darkness. "Begin," Kelvin announced. The fight started, but no one could see it. Not the crowd, not the cameras, not even the fighters. Themselves, Vex attacked first. His fingers shot out toward Mira's throat. They moved faster than a snake's strike, but Mira was not there. She had moved to the left just before he attacked. Vex was surprised. How had she known where he was? Had she known when he would strike? He tried again. This time he aimed for her heart. His fingers were like spears, sharp enough to punch through metal. Again, Mira moved away just in time. His attack hit empty air. The crowd could not see what was happening, but they could hear it. They heard the sound of Vex's fingers cutting. Through the air, they heard the soft sound of Mira's feet moving on the arena floor. "How?" Vex whispered. His voice was like wind through dead leaves. "How do you see me?" "I do not see you," Mira said. "I do not need to see you." She was moving now, not just dodging. She was stepping forward and back, left and right, to the watching cameras. It looked like she was dancing with an invisible partner, but she was not dancing. She was fighting. Every time Vex attacked, she was ready. Every time he tried to grab her, she was somewhere else. Every time he thought he had her, she slipped away like water. "You cannot see in the dark," Vex said. "Humans have weak eyes. You cannot hear me. I make no sound." "You are right," Mira said. "I cannot see you. I cannot hear you." "Then how?" "Can feel you." This was true. Mira had trained with blind fighters for months before coming to the tournament. She had learned to feel the movement of air when someone moved near her. She had learned to sense body heat. She had learned to smell the difference between empty space and space where someone was standing. But more than that, she had learned to think like a predator. She knew how assassins moved. She knew how they thought. She could predict where Vex would attack next. Impossible, Vex hissed. My people have a saying, Mira said as she dodged another attack. The best way to catch a shadow is to become a shadow yourself. She stopped moving defensively. Now she began to attack. Vex felt something. Hit his arm. Pain shot through his body. He looked down but could see nothing in the darkness. How had she found him? He had tried to move away, but something hit his leg. Then his shoulder. Then his side. Mira was attacking him with pieces of debris from the arena floor. Small chunks of metal and stone. She threw them not where he was, but where she knew he would be. You think like a killer, Mira said as she threw another piece of metal. It hit Vex in the chest. You move like a killer. That makes you predictable. Vex was getting angry, and fear was starting to mix with his anger. No prey had ever fought him like this. No prey had ever touched him during a fight. He made his biggest mistake. He spoke again. I am Vex of the Necros, he shouted. I am death itself. I am. His words were cut off. Mira had used his voice to find his exact location. While he was talking, she had moved close to him. Now she struck. Her fist hit him in the throat. He choked and gasped for air. Before he could recover, she hit him again, in the stomach, in the knee, in the side of his head. Vex tried to fight back, but he was hurt and confused. He had never been hit before, did not know how to deal with pain. You made another mistake, Mira said as she grabbed his wrist. What mistake? Vex gasped. You forgot that humans are persistence hunters. We do not need to see our prey to catch. We just need to keep following it until it gets tired. She twisted his wrist. There was a crack, Vex screamed. Then she hit him one more time, in the exact spot where his neck met his skull. The same spot that was weak on every humanoid species in the galaxy. Vex fell to the ground and did not get up. The lights came back on slowly. The crowd could finally see what had happened. Mira stood over the body of the Necros assassin. She was breathing hard. She had small cuts on her arms where Vex's claws had gotten close to her, but she was alive. Vex lay still on the arena floor. The invisible killer had been killed by someone who could not even see him. The crowd was silent. For a long moment, then they began to make sounds. It's not cheers this time. It's not excitement. Fear. Pure fear. They had watched a human fight in complete darkness against an invisible opponent and win. They had seen her move like she could see things that were not there. They had watched her hunt something that could not be hunted. 3 down, Mira said, looking up at the cameras. 1 to go. Tournament Master Kelvin's hands were shaking as he activated his microphone. Prepare for the final battle, he announced. I'll bring forth Gorak of the Blood Maw. In his private viewing, Boxley Doyan watched the screen with amazement. Back on Earth, he had trained Mira for this mission. He had taught her everything he could about fighting, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Mira, he whispered to himself, what have you become? On the arena floor, Mira walked to the center and waited. She was tired now. 3 fights had taken their toll. She was not done. One more champion waited, the strongest of them all, and she was ready for him. The crowd watched in terrible silence as the final gate began to open. Behind it, something huge stirred in the darkness. The real test was about to begin. The arena floor expanded. The walls moved back until the fighting space was huge, bigger than a football field. The ceiling opened up, showing the stars beyond. This was not going to be a fight in a maze or in darkness. This was going to be a battle where strength would meet strength. The gate on the far side of the arena opened slowly. The ground shook with each footstep that came from behind it. Gorak of the Blood Maw stepped into the light. He was massive, 12 feet tall and covered in muscle. His skin was thick and gray, like elephant hide. His arms were as thick as tree trunks. His hands could crush steel. His legs were like pillars that could support a building. But it was his face that made the crowd go silent. Gorak's head was huge, with a mouth full of teeth like sword blades. His eyes were red and glowed in the arena lights. Scars covered his body from 100 battles, had never lost a fight. He'd never even been badly hurt. Mira stood in the center of the arena. Next to Gorak, she looked like a child. She was tired from 3 fights. Stained her clothes, her muscles ached, but her eyes were still clear and focused. The final champion, Tournament Master Kelvin announced. Gorak, of the Blood Maw. Undefeated in 200 battles, the strongest being in the known galaxy. Gorak walked slowly toward the center of the arena. Each step made the ground shake. He stopped 20 feet away from Mira and looked down at her. "You are the human who killed Krex, Zith, and Vex," he said. His voice was like rocks falling down. "A mountain, yes," Mira said. "They underestimated you. They thought you were weak prey. I will not make that mistake." "Good," Mira said. "That will make this more interesting." Gorak's mouth opened in what might have been a smile. "You have courage, little human. I respect that. But courage will not save you from me. We will see." Mira said, "I have killed beings twice your size. I have crushed warriors in armor thicker than your entire body. I have torn apart war machines with my bare hands." "I know," Mira said. "I've studied you too. Then you know you cannot win." "Strong, too tough, too experienced." "Maybe," Mira said, "but I'm still going to try." Gorak nodded slowly. "Then we understand each other. This will be a good fight." The crowd of 100,000 aliens watched in complete silence. They knew they were about to see something that would be talked about for generations. Begin. Kelvin announced. Gorak did not charge like Krex had. He did not try to sneak around like Zith or Vex. He walked straight toward Mira at a steady pace. He knew he was stronger. He knew he was tougher. He would win through pure power. Mira waited until he was close. Then she moved. She darted to his left, trying to get behind him. But Gorak was ready for this. His huge hand swept out and almost caught her. She had to dive and roll to avoid his grasp. She came up running and tried to circle around him. But Gorak turned to follow her. He was not fast, but he was not slow either. And his reach was enormous. Mira tried to hit him in the knee like she had done to Krex. Her fist connected with his leg. It was like hitting a stone wall. Gorak did not even notice she tried to use the debris trick that had worked on Vex. She picked up a piece of metal and threw it at Gorak's head. It bounced off his thick skin without leaving a mark. Nothing was working. All the tricks that had defeated the other champions were useless against Gorak. "Your turn is over, human," Gorak said. "Now it is mine." He reached out and grabbed for her. This time his hand was too fast. Mira could not dodge completely. His fingers caught her arm and squeezed. Pain shot through her body. She could feel her bones starting to crack. Gorak lifted her off the ground with one hand. "It is finished," he said, but Mira was not finished. Instead of trying to pull away, she swung her free hand at Gorak's wrist. Not to hurt him, but to hit. A pressure point that would make his hand open. It worked. Gorak's grip loosened just enough for her to slip free. She fell to the ground and rolled away from him.
"Clever," Gorak said.
But it will not work twice. He was right. No. He knew she could escape from his grip. He would be more careful. The fight continued. Gorak attacked again and again. Each time Mira barely escaped. She was getting tired. Her movements were getting slower. Her breathing was getting harder. Gorak was getting tired too, but not as much. He was built for long fights. His species were endurance predators, just like humans. But they were much stronger. "You fight well for prey," Gorak said as he swung at her again. "But you cannot win. I am too strong." "Strength is not everything," Mira gasped. "It is everything that matters." Mira dodged another attack. "No, my people learned something long ago. The strongest does not always win. Then who wins? The one who refuses to quit." She was right. That was humanity's greatest weapon, not strength, not speed, not intelligence. Stubbornness. The absolute. Refusal to give up. Other species fought until they were tired. Then they either won or they retreated to fight another day. Humans fought until they died. The battle went on for an hour, then 2 hours. Both fighters were exhausted now. Both were hurt. but neither would surrender. Gorak's attacks were getting slower. His massive muscles were burning with fatigue. He'd never fought anyone who could last this long against him. Mira was in even worse shape. She had cuts all over her body. Her left arm was badly bruised where Gorak had grabbed her. She could barely stand, but she was still fighting. "Why?" Gorak asked, during a moment when they were both catching their breath. "Why do you not quit? You cannot win." "Because I am human," Mira said. "We do not quit. Ever. Even when it is hopeless."
Especially
"When it is hopeless?" Gorak looked at her with something that might have been admiration. "Your species is insane," Mira agreed. "That is what makes us dangerous." The fight continued. 3 hours? 4 hours? The crowd had never seen anything like it. Most fights in the arena lasted minutes. This one was lasting all day. Slowly, something began to change. Gorak was still stronger than Mira, but he was getting weaker. His attacks were missing more often. His movements were getting clumsy. Mira was getting weaker too, but she was used to being weak. She had been the small one her whole life. She knew how to fight when she was tired and hurt and desperate. "I do not understand," Gorak said. He was breathing hard now. "You should have fallen hours ago." "Humans are persistence hunters," Mira said. "We do not kill our prey quickly. We follow it until it collapses from exhaustion. I am not prey. Today you are." Gorak tried one more massive attack. He put all his remaining strength into it. Fist came down like a hammer. Mira did not try to dodge. Instead, she stepped forward into the attack. She grabbed Gorak's wrist and used his own momentum against him. Gorak was too tired to stop his swing. He was too tired to change direction. He fell forward, off balance. Mira was ready. As he fell, she hit him in the throat. It's not hard enough to kill him, but hard enough to cut off his air. Gorak collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. He tried to get up, but his legs would not hold him. He was finished. Mira stood over him, swaying on her feet. She was barely conscious, but she was still. "Standing yield," she said. Gorak looked up at her. Blood ran from his mouth. His eyes were full of respect. "I yield," he said quietly. The arena erupted in sound. 100,000 aliens screamed and cheered and made noises of amazement. They had seen the impossible. Human had defeated all. For apex predators, Mira collapsed to her knees. She had one, but she had nothing left. She could not even stand anymore. Tournament Master Kelvin's voice boomed across the arena.
"I'm the victor."
Kong Mira of Earth. In his control room, far away, Leto Yon wiped tears from his eyes. "She did it," he whispered. She actually did it. On the arena floor, Mira looked up at the cameras. "For down," she said softly. "None left. The galaxy would never be the same." Word would spread to every world, every species, every corner of space. The humans had a champion who could defeat any predator. They were not prey. They were the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. And now, everyone knew it.